Okay, this is silly. Can you guys hear me? I think you can't turn the phone while recording. All right, let's try it this way. Hi, everybody. Let's see if Rachel could come on. I'm going to have to do it upright because I didn't rotate my phone in time. So let's see what's up. Hi, let's see if Rachel's going to hop on and join us. Hello, everybody. It's Cindy. This is the third time. Third time's a charm, or we're just going to give up. So my daughter Rachel should be hopping on here in just a minute. Let's see if she does. We're going to talk about salt and the importance of salt. So whether you're, let's see, Rachel, am I going to take you from Rachel D? Let's see if I don't want to do that. Rachel, am I going to do you from Rachel D or Rachel Thomas? Bear with us, guys. We're going to get there. So we're going to talk about salt and the importance of it. It's a very vital micronutrient. And if we don't, I think maybe she's coming in from that. Let me add her this way. Oh, good. Yeah, can you hear me? Good. So hopefully Rachel's going to be joining. It looks like I'm adding her. But salt is sodium chloride, and we tend to think of salt as table salt. The actual term for that is, let me see if it is going to add you. Oh, Rachel, may not be working. So there we go. I hear you. Oh, you're sideways. Can you rotate?
Yeah,
I have
sure can.
Here we go.
All right. You know what, you guys?
We're used to sitting next to each other and not doing this high-tech stuff. So Rachel, hi, darling. How are you? This is my oldest daughter,
Hi.
Rachel D. Hi, who I
Hi,
love
everyone.
and adore. And you guys probably know her from all the videos we do together, as well as her Stupid Easy line of wonderful bread products for keto.
Oh, my line of bread products. I just feel so
you
fancy.
have the poofer, what's it called? The piffle.
Oh, my
Your earbuds just fell out. You have your piffles. Well, you've got the Stupid Easy bagels and the Stupid Easy bread rounds.
Yeah, apparently it's a whole line of things, and that's
Yeah, it's a
amazing.
line of things. And then you've got the piffle, and then you've got the pizzle.
Okay, if you can't just say the piffle without telling the people what the piffle is.
Oh, well, but we're here to talk about salt. But go ahead real quick and go to Rachel D. Not Rachel D. Thomas, but Rachel D.
Yeah, Rachel D. I don't know if you tagged it. I can tag it in the description afterwards.
I did.
The piffle, you guys, is a pizza waffle.
Keto.
You'll never eat a keto pizza the same. It is crispy. It is delicious. It absorbs all the salt. Anyways, and the sauce. So, all right. So, Mom, basically what I wanted to know from you. So over on my page, I'm trying to get these things in my ear because I have little itty bitty baby ears and they don't fit. So bear with me. What I'd love to know from you is we're doing a getting back to the keto basics over on my Facebook page. So I just ended my breastfeeding season with my son. And so I can finally start to track my carbs and get into a more lower carb zone versus what I was doing while I was breastfeeding. So what I've been curious about is what is the importance of salt? One, if you're starting ketogenic, but two, maybe you've just kind of gotten off track or you haven't really learned or read the Salt Fix book. So I just wanted to know from asking her, Cindy, my mom, what the importance of salt is.
Okay, great. I think that's a great question. And those of you that are watching us, go ahead and type in, let us know where you're from, if you're new to keto or you're rebooting. And also feel free, if you've got anybody that's starting the keto diet with you, go ahead and hit the share button now to your keto page or to your own personal page. So let's talk about salt. First off, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, or cure. I'm going to share with you what I've learned about the importance of sodium in our diet, or salt, as how we typically think of it, but the medical terminology is sodium. So I don't want you to change anything based on what I'm telling you, especially if you're a very sodium restrictive hypertensive. But let's talk about the basics of salt. Salt is what's called an electrolyte. And what that means is that it is absolutely vital for our cellular function. So without adequate levels of salt, you're going to get very, very sick very quickly, and your body will just cease to function. So what you'll notice is when you start the keto diet, you're probably going to go to the bathroom a lot. You're going to be running to the potty, and you're going to be, wow, it's called diuresing. You're going to be urinating a lot. Have you noticed that, Rachel, when you've started to lower your carbs back down? Have you noticed
Maybe a
some
little
type of,
bit. Yeah. So
yeah,
this is day 2 of me. Yesterday I totaled out at 17 carbs, and
wow.
today I'm only at 10 carbs. I feel really
Wow,
proud of
that's
myself.
that for a type 1, and hopefully you've lowered your basal rate. You're making sure you're not bolusing
Yes.
too much insulin. Awesome. Well, let's go back to what happens. So those of us that maybe in our past or we're just starting, we were taking in hundreds of carbohydrates a day, hundreds of grams.
Yeah.
I mean, we were having bagels and orange juice and snacks and high carbohydrate things. Well, when you drop your carbohydrates suddenly and by a lot, our body retains 1 gram of water, excuse me, 4 grams of water for every 1 gram of salt. That I can't even talk. One retains 4 grams of water for every gram of carbs that we take in. I'll get it right. So when you go from, say, 400 carbs down to 20, or you go from 400 to whatever you're doing, your body is sensing that lack of carbohydrates, and it says to the kidneys, hey, you don't need to hold on to all this water. So your body starts releasing all that urine in the form of urine. And what happens is that's good because you can have a nice, typically you're going to have a nice weight loss the first couple of days, i.e. water loss. But what's bad about that, because you'll notice less swelling, you'll notice less inflammation in your joints, but as the urine comes out, it also removes sodium. Okay? So what we need to do is realize that a lot of, if you've heard about the keto flu, all right, in little parentheses, the keto flu. It's typically that because of that urination, that diuresis, that excessive amount of fluid loss compared to your normal urination habits, you've also lost salt and you've lost potassium because there's this thing in the cells called the sodium potassium pump. And when sodium leaves your body, potassium follows. So what you need to do, and you can listen to Dr. Stephen Finney, you can read the book The Salt Fix by Dr. James D. Nicolantonio, and we can post the link to that, or just Google The Salt Fix. What you have to do in order to avoid the headaches, the fatigue, maybe the racing heart rate, muscle cramps, is you need to add back in more salt than you think. Salt is not your enemy unless you're
That's
that
so good.
rare, really severe hypertensive group. So salt, major electrolyte, too low of a sodium. It's the most common reason the elderly are admitted to the hospital overall is a low sodium count in their blood.
Wow.
So does that help for just a
No, that's
basic
super
overview?
helpful because today's day 2 of me being back like on a strict keto. So while I was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
I was probably at 50 or 60 carbs a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was breastfeeding Noah, I was probably hovering around 40 carbs a day. Maybe I would have gone down to 30, but
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm back down under 20, which I haven't done in like 18, 19 months,
Mm-hmm.
I had a severe headache right before I put
Mm.
him down for the night. And I thought, I wonder if I've had enough salt today. I put salt in, I probably put like a quarter of a teaspoon. Do you think that's like a
Mm-hmm.
decent?
Yeah, I
I
think that's
put
good.
that in
Did you
some warm
chase it with
water.
some
I
water?
chugged
Mm-hmm.
it down, chugged it down. And then I actually used some of the frankincense essential oil as well because like it was just,
Mm-hmm.
I just was
Yeah.
tired and
How's
I have
it
a
feel now?
it's gone. Like it was gone probably within 10 or 15
Mm-hmm.
minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was actually excited that we were going to talk about salt tonight because
Yeah.
I know that it can actually, did you tell me, I think you told me this a while ago, it can help to
Mm-hmm.
increase a little bit of energy as well.
Yes, yes. What happens is when we don't have enough salt circulating through our body, which is probably the most common early side effect where people get discouraged with keto because they're very tired and they're lethargic and they've got a headache. Maybe when they stand up, they get dizzy and they're like, oh my God, how long is this keto flu? It's not the flu. It's most likely that you're low in sodium. So if you're having bacon and eggs for breakfast or just plain eggs, I highly encourage you to, whatever you're moving around is making a lot of noise, honey. I highly encourage you to add salt, barring really severe, restrictive hypertension. Add salt to your eggs. Dr. Finney recommends 2 cups of bouillon a day and not low sodium bouillon. I don't know if you remember when your sister Lauren came on and she was
Yeah.
doing keto 2 years ago. And she tells me like after 2 weeks that she's had a headache nonstop for 2 weeks. I said, why haven't you told me? She goes, well, I don't know. I just thought I had a weird stress headache. I said, Lauren, do you have any bouillon in your house? She goes, yes. I said, I want you to make yourself a nice, strong cup of bouillon. And then I want you to
Yeah.
see how you feel, drink some water, and then see how you feel. And she called me back in about 30 minutes and the headache was gone.
Yeah.
When our,
Yeah, that's how I
yeah.
felt like when I did the salt shot. And I try to
Mm-hmm.
do them in the mornings when I do my iodine drops as well.
Yes.
And I try to just like chase it right after.
Yep.
So, and then
Yep.
salt my eggs and everything.
Yeah, and those of you that are listening, if you haven't read The Salt Fix by Dr. James D. Nicolantonio, it's a great book because he really explains that all of this fretfulness about salt happened from a study that was done on just 200 hypertensive. They were known hypertensive patients, and they dropped their sodium intake dramatically, and what they found was that their blood pressure did go down. But it didn't go down by 10, 20, or 30%. It went down by, on average, 2 to 4 points, which is nothing. All right. So they took those data and they extrapolated it to the entire population, even the vast majority of us that are not hypertensive. So we've been restricting
Wow.
our salt intake and afraid of it when it's actually so vital to our entire function of our cardiovascular system. Because if I lower my blood pressure and I'm not hypertensive, right, what happens is my
Right.
heart has to increase how fast it beats. You have an increase in your heart rate to compensate for lack of sodium to hold the fluid in. You get low volume in your bloodstream, and that's why your heart starts to race. You start to get dizzy because you have what they call volume depletion. And so by simply salting your food, by simply having a couple of cups of bouillon, we can avoid so
Wow.
many of those problems. It's really one of the simplest fixes. The other thing you might need to do is add some magnesium supplementation if you're new to keto to
That's
avoid the leg
great.
cramps. And the one that Dr. Stephen Finney recommends is Slow Mag, and that's what it's called, Slow Mag. It's a timed release magnesium called Slow Mag. So that's a freebie. Even though we're talking about sodium, the magnesium is important too.
Okay, so since I mentioned that I do take iodine drops, and we are getting quite a few
Mm-hmm.
comments about the
Mm-hmm.
iodine, why don't you touch on, because iodine is found in certain parts of salt, can you give us like the
Mm-hmm.
30-second version of
Yes,
the
the 30.
importance of
Yeah,
iodine?
don't drone on and on.
No,
Okay,
you,
so
you can geek out, but
in the 1920s or so, maybe a little bit earlier, many people were developing goiters. Goiters are where you get a growth on your thyroid, and it's due to lack of iodine. Typically, is what they found. So back then, the Morton salt, you could buy iodized, or they started adding iodine to the salt. Because everybody was
right.
using salt back then freely. They weren't afraid of it, did a lot of canning, a lot of preservative of their meats with salt. And so by adding iodine to the table salt, they were able to eradicate goiters in the vast majority of people. Now, let's fast forward to now, to 2018, 2019, I guess now today. What we've done is we've moved away from table salt and we've moved into a Celtic sea salt, or maybe some
Yeah.
sort of Himalayan pink sea salt. That does not
Yep.
typically have the levels of iodine we need. So what happens is that we end up with that iodine is absolutely mandatory for our body to create the thyroid hormones.
Yeah.
And so if you're not using an iodized salt, you want to consider adding some sort of supplementation with iodine. And the one that Dr. Ken Berry recommends is the Lugol solution. And we actually started that. I
Mm-hmm.
started it last year, and you get between that and the salt shot, you get this amazing surge of it, or I do, a surge of energy. And you were like
Yeah,
cracking up when you first started
absolutely.
it. Yeah, because it gives your body the
Yeah,
ability to make thyroid hormone.
yeah, well, when you think about type 1 diabetes, which I've had since I
Mm-hmm.
was 3, those of you that missed the like 5 videos ago, I'm trying to hold my little earbud in because it keeps falling
Yeah.
out.
Oh, you look like
Um,
somebody on radio. Hello.
Reporting here live from my
Yeah,
bedroom,
that's
snuggled up
right.
with my puppy. Yeah, but when I started it, because, diabetes, it's the endocrine system. So it's affecting my thyroid, it's affecting,
Mm-hmm.
just all of those different major organs. So Dr. Berry started me on a couple drops because he's my primary
Mm-hmm.
care. And I literally felt like someone paddled my heart and my body and just jump started me.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
called Mom. I was like, Mom, I'm kind of freaking out. I feel like someone like spiked my coffee with like energy juices. She's like,
Energy.
it's the
Yep.
iodine. So I was actually, Mom, I was just at my sister-in-law's house for Christmas,
Uh-huh.
and I just gave her, I think, 2 drops, and she felt like her brain turned on. Anyway,
Yep.
so that's something that I didn't know
Yep.
we were depleted in as a
Yep.
culture.
Yeah, we don't typically see it tested in a normal electrolyte panel. You'll find your sodium level there, but even if you're running 130, the range is 135 to 145 is considered normal, but that's not necessarily optimal. I tend to run low if I'm not really careful because I'm eating so few carbs. I continue to let go of
Yeah.
sodium. So that plus the iodine has made a tremendous difference. In fact, I just had my ultrasound for my thyroid because I developed nodules and little tiny goiters. I think it was from the years of doing the Celtic or pink Himalayan sea salt. And I started that iodine supplementation, and all the little nodules on my left side have disappeared.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Because I
just
have
had
a
that
little
done.
nodule on my
Yeah.
right side.
Hmm. Yeah, so
That's
I
so
think
cool.
we just need to be it's okay if you don't want to use traditional table salt that's iodized, but if your salt does not have adequate levels of iodine, you might want to consider checking with your primary care, especially if you have
Yeah.
hypothyroidism or you've got Hashimoto's, and see if you would benefit from a couple of drops of Lugol's in the morning. So, and also if
Yeah.
you drink coffee, for every cup of coffee you drink, you're going to release an extra half teaspoon of salt. So we've started salting our coffee. When we have coffee, we go zzz with our little electric salt grinder,
Yeah.
and we add a little bit of salt to our coffee. If you exercise, you're going to lose a lot of sodium, and that's one of the things I recommend to people is don't try to change too much at once. In January, go
That's so
ahead and
good.
get your diet under control and get fat adapted or keto adapted. Don't worry about adding exercise in right now. When you try to change too
So
many things
good.
at once, you feel overwhelmed, you feel like it's not happening, and you tend to quit. But if you are exercising and you do sweat, you have to increase your sodium even more.
That's so good. And it's something that over on my Facebook page, and any of y'all that want to like join in the journey, what we're doing over
Yes.
there is we're using the hashtag getting back to the keto basics. And it's basically a reset that I wanted to reset, and I wanted to just kind of get my postpartum body
Yeah.
back in order. And I kind of did a video just organically, and so many of our community over
Mm-hmm.
there, they're like, we want to reset too. So it just became this kind of organic, getting back to the
Mm-hmm.
basics, but
Yeah.
tracking our carbs, tracking our macros. And instead of
Mm-hmm.
worried about like exercising, we're just trying to do
Mm-hmm.
movement every day,
Yep.
whether that's the potty
Mm-hmm.
squats or the wall sits or doing lunges or squats. And I'm doing like chest presses
Mm-hmm.
with my 10-month-old. But any of you that want to come pop
Yep.
over and join the movement, like we're just
Yes.
having a lot of fun. We're sharing we're
Mm-hmm.
sharing what we're eating every day and the different things we're doing to move. And then some of y'all were
Yeah.
asking what iodine supplement that we all use off
Mm-hmm.
Amazon. Is that something, Mom, that they should check with their primary care before they start?
I don't know if you need to really check with your primary care. I mean, the right answer is yes, but if you don't want to, you can watch what Dr. Ken Berry, he's got quite a few videos
There
on
you go.
iodine,
Yeah.
as well as Dr. Weston Childs, Chidls. He has a lot of podcasts on it, and they both talk about how we as a nation, because we don't, I mean, iodized salt was how we got it.
Yeah,
And
it's
now we
so
don't
true.
because we buy these exotic salts, and we wonder that's what could be one of the reasons that we have a
Yeah.
lot of increase in hypothyroidism. So we buy the one, I think it's called by J. Crew. You can post the link if you
What
want.
I can do is I can post the link. I didn't want to say I'd
Mhm.
post the link until I kind of got like if
Yeah.
you thought that was okay. And I
Yeah.
think, a couple
Watch what Dr.
drops.
Berry says.
Yeah, watch
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
says.
Watch what Dr. Weston Childs, and if you feel that it's a safe thing for you to add to your regime, that's certainly your call. For us, it's made a big difference. I can't wait to see what my T3 and T4 levels come back with
Yeah.
my next set of labs with him. So Rachel and I both have Dr. Ken Berry as our primary physician. We went out to Tennessee to see him as a patient, and now we can do
Yeah.
online e-visits, and so he helps advise us and counsel us with that. So you can find
Yeah.
him at Ken D. Berry, and I really recommend you go to Rachel D, and it's linked to Rachel in the comments section. Click
Yeah.
on that, and you can join this if you want to do a reboot, if you want a kind, loving community that's very encouraging. There's no keto
Yeah.
police saying that's not keto.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
We're
let me give you a little 30-second rendition about me.
okay.
I want keto to be, and we've talked about this, Mom, since we
Yes.
started, simple, satisfying, and sustainable.
Yes.
I understand that there's like peanut butter is like one of those trigger words. People are like, that's not keto. I'm like, listen, but if it keeps your carbs low and you have one little bit of peanut butter just to curb that craving, you're going to find acceptance, love, inspiration over at my page. I mean, you find that with my mom, but she's so incredibly clinical and she can break down all of the science. I'm always like calling her like, hey, ask Nurse Cindy, I've got a question for you today about XYZ. You know, my husband does the same thing, but we just invite you to come over, take a look. If you want to be a part, we're just having fun. And it really does become a family. Hasn't it become a family? Like,
yes, in so many ways.
Yeah, it's been such a blast. So.
Yeah, and she's got plenty of great recipes and shows people what she's doing in the Instapot. And you have a website too, right, that they can go and find different things?
Yeah, so RachelD.com. My mother chose to spell my name with a little A in there, so it's RACHAEL. Yeah, Rachel D. So whatever the name is, and I'll go in and I'll change the description for those. But we've got all of our. If you've heard of the Stupid Easy Bagels, my husband and I just organically needed bread in our lives, and we came up with a keto bread that is like 3 net carbs per bagel. Easy. These big bagels that are so hearty.
They're
he had one
so
for dinner.
Good.
He did whipped cream cheese, Havarti cheese, and then some lunch meat on a bagel and toasted it, and it just smelled so good.
He toasted it first and then put this stuff on it?
He toasted it first and then he put everything on it.
I was just saying, we don't want people putting cream cheese in their toaster on a bagel.
We're special.
Yeah,
we're just
those. Yeah, we're all kinds of special. So, anything else about sodium or salt? It's important. It's a vital electrolyte.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it unless you have really severe hypertension. But if you're normal,
and hypertension
don't be afraid of
is
it.
High blood pressure, correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. If you have high blood sorry. And high blood pressure.
I had to bring it back down to layman's terms.
Sorry. If you have high blood pressure, then you want to don't just do this at face value. But if you're a normal, healthy, and I also encourage you to Google The Salt Fix. It's a great book. Maybe, Rachel, you could put a link to Amazon.
Yeah, I can post a link for that as well. And that's a good book. That's a good book for someone like me that might not have a medical background or any clinical understanding. It's a good book to use on Audible, which is where like you can listen to it, and it's almost like listening to a podcast. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he just brought out a new book called Superfuel. Yeah, it was so much fun. I could just go on, but I know people have got to go.
You and I talk all the time. Well, we still have, if you guys, let's do this. If you guys have any questions, we won't scroll through because they're coming through like hotcakes, but we'll go back through and we'll try to answer. And all of the questions that are like, hey, what's the iodine link? What's the magnesium link? We'll post those in the description above. So after we get done with the video, you can go back and catch those links. If you're catching us on the replay, make sure to let us know. And then if you want to come over and do a reset, like getting back to the keto basics, we're just having a bunch of fun over there. So.
Yes. Well, Rachel D., I'm so glad you asked me to come on with you tonight. And thanks, everybody, for your patience about our small glitches, but we'll figure this out. So have a good one. Give Noah a kiss in the morning.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, darling. Bye.
Love
Bye.
you too.
Bye, everybody.